Yes, Decoding of Atlanta, episode 10. Hello, welcome to CRWS,
Wait,
Decoding of it. No?
not that one. When the
Oh.
recording is about to go right now.
You just said that.
I did.
Just mute.
No one
Just
listens
mute.
to 05. No one listens to 05. Okay.
Welcome to CRWS, Decoding of Atlanta, episode 10, season 3, Tarrare. Oh, this episode was really interesting. I think it's better than the other ones. But I'm still not crazy about it. I want to call this the PP episode almost. 3 females sitting in the cafe. I didn't notice quite a few tragic arrangements while they were outside eating. Did anybody notice that? Well, that's what it looked like to me. You want to chip in? T?
And Ms. B, can you
I mean-
repeat the question?
Did anybody notice the tragic arrangements when they were outside eating? There were quite a few. It was a tragic arrangement outside while they were eating.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
the
mainly
first thing I
focused on
noticed.
the
It was quick, but
recording.
yeah, it was like 2 of them. I was like,
Yes, I noticed that. Not only that, it's a very young looking black female with one older looking white man, and this white man could be any age range. But yeah, it's very suspect and very incorrect. I'm pretty sure, hey, could be down there for the same thing. The orange juice could be, that energy. Orange juice is could be a code for P, pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
when the girl said that she was out there to pee on the guy for $6,000, and they were like, oh, really? Like they said it like that was a lot of money. I was like, oof. And it also made me think of R. Kelly. Yeah.
One thing that I kept thinking about was pieces of a puzzle. The one thing Black females will not talk about by Renithia Tate. Gutter sex, experimental sex, are just the incorrect things white people have trained non-white people to do in the bedroom for them, to them, with them, and it's all very incorrect, and it is very damaging on the minds of Black people, I suspect. And I think this episode is a huge indication of that. And perhaps Van being the greatest because I suspect she's a product of a white parent and a victim of racism. So she's a product of rape, the most aggressive act a racist can commit against a non-white person. So really, really tragic in this episode. Just gutter sex being promoted and normalized and implemented into whatever this Black culture thing they are trying to say that Black people have, which I don't think has. And this scene, and this setup, we are getting hit with a lot of messages, a lot of coded messages, because the most logical, seemingly concerned Black person of this trio here is the person who is closest to white looking. She has a lightest skin, and she also has the straightest hair. She's still could be probably considered most white identified, but I'm just taking from Race Cold War saying that she's like, the most closest to white in appearance. And she's also the most, concerned about Van. Whereas the Black female, when Zosha, I think, mentions this, going to do something maybe constructive, like going to learn something, she's like, what the hell, learn something? No, I want to do something fun. That's also, so you're getting slapped with that coded message that, hey, the most dark person on the screen is also the most silly, the most stupid, because we also see Shanice's character, what does she do? She drops the bass like an idiot. So they just the showrunners, they love presenting Black people in just really, really incorrect manners, I would say, presenting us in really, really stupid ways and showing us do really, really stupid things. And Zosha, again, she's definitely not concerned about anything serious. She's definitely not concerned to help the black male who needs help. She's not concerned to help Van, and she's also not of the same complexion of I forget the main friend's name. Candace, yeah, Candace. She's not Candace complexion, and she also has nappier hair. So that's just the color coded messages we're getting hit with. So yes, among the victims of racism, this is how we want them. Closest to white, and if they're dark skinned, if they're they got that nappy hair, just my also thought of this episode is about wow, perfectly programmed victims of racism. They have no clue that they're victims of racism, but some of the things that they say is a huge indication of that because they said, "Hey, we're doing a girls' trip." I'm like, yeah, that is correct. This is certainly no woman's trip. They're not here solving problems. They're not here helping people. They're here looking to have fun and have been led to, they're here to have fun and be raped. Essentially, them pissing on that white person, I think that's still considered some form of rape, in my opinion, in my pitiful opinion. So, girls trip, yeah, that's cool. They are girls, highly confused girls who don't even know. To the average black person, tragically, they see 3 black women here. I understand. I see 3 black females who are victims of racism, who definitely need help, who need help in a form of justice, guaranteeing no one is allowed to be mistreated, and those who need help receive constructive help. But we have just been trained so far away from this sort of thinking, this sort of mentality that, hey, travel across the seas to pee on someone, yeah, that's fun. That's what I want to be doing. And I'm going to pause there. But again, Pieces of a Puzzle by Renithia Tate. Excellent book. That Alexander Skarsgård character is the epitome of what it means to be white, I think, white culture and gutter sex and how sex in the minds of a white person is not the same in the minds of a non-white person. And I'll pause there.
Just to piggyback on, of course, with the book, hashtag keeping white people secret. Yes, it was some anti-blackness when Langston Hughes and Josephine Baker got brought up. What else? Oh, just like Van trying to escape, pretty much. This whole episode was her trying to escape from being in Atlanta, uh, forgetting that she's a mother. Um, also, just the whole tackiness of her being with a white guy, it kind of felt as though that we weren't really watching the character. We were more watching the person playing the character.
I think Van was trying to escape being black, being mistreated. That's what I think.
Pretty much. It seems as though that she did not want to be reminded of anything Atlanta at all. But it got to that point to where she had a breakdown, pretty much. But yeah, this episode was it wasn't terrible, but as I'm watching it again, especially with the ending part, which was very confusing, I could definitely see why people don't like this episode at all, especially with the whole, darker person being a more dumber one, and then the actual lighter person who has concern / logic. I definitely understand that point. So I'll just mute until we speak on something else.
What I thought was interesting, how they had Van beat Emilio, who was a dark-skinned black male, and how he was in a tragic arrangement and the white mate didn't even come to protect him or help or anything, and she's beating him. And For a second there, he reminds me of Ern. For a quick second, not too long, but I'm like, of course, we should see more violence between males and females.
So this Emilio character, he's a countersexual. Is that what I just heard? That's incredible because that is exactly what I suspect that sort of behavior can do to a person. Just it seems to this black male seemed incapable of defending himself, and then it was just really tragic and just yes, dark skinned black male getting completely beat up by a black female with a phallic like object, and then look at the
white too.
yeah, and it's white, and it says right here of the what did you say? Open your mouth. You know, yeah, I know you like white phalluses in your mouth. Here's another one. You know, so the showrunners are having a blast. They're clowning us. They're clowning the pitiful condition we have been terrorized into by a racist man, a racist woman, and a racist child. And again, these people can only be white. The showrunners, if they are black, the showrunners cannot be black actually, because black people don't run anything. So the white people who are allowing this show to air, they're having a blast. You know, the people who may be allowed to write it are just I suspect, highly confused victims of racism who may not have much concern for black people, because this black male is just like, logic here is you could defend yourself, but he doesn't even attempt to defend himself. Why could it be? Because he has been that has been completely taken away from his thinking capabilities because of the condition and training he has received from the system. You know, he's supposed to be abused. He's supposed to be helpless. He needs a white person to come save him. You know, and when that white person could have, his white partner, you're kind of like my sex sewer. You're kind of like my existing sex doll. You're not a person to me. So I don't feel any urgency to help you unless it's gonna help me in that process. That's the mentality racist man, racist woman have with us. But we haven't got it yet. And we should much understand that ASAP. So another thing I noticed was these black people, these people who have been classified as black, victims of racism, prisoners of the race war, they are laughing at a victim who clearly needs help. We also this is a theme in Atlanta, laughing at black people who need help. This is a theme in system of white supremacy and most entertainment, possibly. But even like evident in this show as well. Super, super lame. I guess we could top it to some of the more delectable Negro white people eating non-white people, particularly black people. But first, I guess we should talk about the gutter sex a little bit more, because I need to hammer that in here, hammer that in there.
I think the movie reveals a counter-racist secret. It's not even a secret. It's not widely known because not many of us are attempting to counter racism. When she finally broke down and was after she was sitting outside talking to her friend, Van, she revealed the whole heart of the issue and shows you what the movie was truly about. She didn't know her reason for existence, didn't know herself. Everything she described as not knowing herself is she didn't have any reason for anything she thought, spoke, or acted out. She was vaguely trying to follow an outline of being a good mom. But in all the episodes of her relating to that little girl, she was just lost, aimless, complaining about her and dropping a baby off somewhere. So at the heart of this, look at every black person in this movie, even though they did not know why they were here, which is to produce justice, to help produce justice by replacing the system of white supremacy. Even though none of them had their purpose. She said Ern knew who he was. She said her daughter Lottie knew who she was. The black female pissing on white men for sexual pleasure somehow knows who she is. But none of them know who they are. But they all, because they don't know who they are, even the two other black girls, they're all willing to run to white people to try to associate with things that are associated with white people. And they all want to eagerly jump into gutter sex, including Ern, with racist. So that reveals that if you don't have your purpose, you don't know why you're here as a non-white person, more than likely you're going to have severe times of episodes of what they would call mental breakdowns from attempting to follow after, imagine yourself as being associated with whites and attempting to have gutter sex with them. That alone keeps everybody in this show in a state of massive confusion who's non-white. And I think it's amazing that she was only there a few weeks, yet she was widely received into this perverse lifestyle with this perverse group of people who really had no care or concern about who she really was or where she was from or if anybody cared about her or was missing her. They were just going to use her up and misuse her and let her fantasy play out and replace her. I think that's what it showed when he came to the door dancing to the nigger music and being willing to ask the other black females to take their clothes. You're just replaceable. As long as you're lost, dazed, and confused, we'll just run you in and out of here and use you up and send you back to Atlanta. Just as Mr. Fuller revealed, white men have already used up black girls and tossed them back to us.
Um, Greetings. I'm not sure how far along in the episode you guys are on, but this episode was very, to me, very tragic. I'll just do like a quick read through of my notes. The most shocking thing for me, and the most expected thing for me was to see V's character brutally, beat a dark skinned black male with a piece of bread and it totally be accepted and like no one comes to their defense. And just the powerlessness that was displayed there was a prime example of what racism, white supremacy expects and demands non-white black males to be treated. Um, and obviously her friends watching this happen just shows that they are just not on code and very very, to me, brain trashed. And the gentleman who was speaking before me was talking about the boyfriend. Throughout this entire episode she's being sexually sewered by a lot of white males, and I found that to be another example of how racism, white supremacy works. If you associate, um, you will be rewarded. Your captor will allow you to be in spaces where, hey, we're gonna have a event where we are gonna cannibalize hands. And I'm pretty sure I saw a black hand in that batch, and I think they were like, you know, not spoofing, but like describing what Miriam Abramovich does. Miriam Abramovich, spirit cooker. Probably not pronouncing her name correctly, but she's a spirit cooker and she uses like fake blood and she makes food look like human flesh. And all these celebrities go there and they eat and pretend like it's people. I feel like the writer, the director, whoever is responsible for that aspect of the story, subconsciously or consciously may just be retelling what they used to do during antebellum slavery, where white people would literally eat and cannibalize off black bodies. They're enslaved victims of racism, white supremacy. Um, Ultimately, I think the episode is about mental health. I think that's what they want us to think is about, mental health. Um, I thought it was a really, really not good episode. Um, the only black male we see is savagely beaten throughout the whole episode, and I think at the end we see Donald Glover, um, and then we see an image of the white male who committed suicide. But that's kind of all my notes, kind of bullet read through. It's nearly 3 a.m. here, and place classified as London. Sorry for joining late.
Just real quick, just to add, the the suspected person actually write this episode, black female, Stephanie Robinson, and looking at her photo, she is definitely on the Candace and Van complexion. So not a shock, not a shock.
Going back to something that EJ spoke about when Van was sitting outside with her friend and she was saying like, oh, like she'll know who she is. And I was thinking about, oh, this is so-called mixed people problems. You know, she doesn't know whether she's, I think she was talking about not knowing if she's white or black. She said she had a dark feeling come over her. It was different terms that she was using. Um, yeah, that was let me know. I'm like, oh, she's talking about, you know, being so-called mixed. And yeah, yeah, it was just interesting. And you know, it makes me think about like when people like, what about the babies when when people get into tragic arrangements when there's white captives, you know, this is the result. Confusion, massive confusion. I think she was trying to live out a fantasy, adventure, um, yeah, tragic arrangement. Um, and remind you, she's the product of a tragic arrangement in real life. So yeah, I think somebody sat down and talked to her, and I think not to say that this is her life, but I think this was something that was in her mind or something like that. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but yeah, I don't think there's much acting going on here. And I mute my line.
Somewhere, someone has got the message of what racist men and racist women are doing to its victims, and they wanted to depict that manifestation. Very common, I suspect, is, you know, so-called mixed children. A lot of them so-called suffer with you know, I don't belong. I got racism from both sides. Nope. No, there's only one side of racism, and that's coming from the only race actually on the planet, which is the white race. So yeah, it's massive, massive confusion. You know, it's just super pitiful that um 9 times out of 10, the system is so powerful that many victims who have white parents, I don't suspect have a lot of opportunities to find code unless I'm in error. I hope to be in error, but the system is so powerful, and you take a white person and you come out of that white person or in some way, shape, or form. It's just, yeah. And I thought this was Van having some sort of bipolar episode, like some sort of undiagnosed or untreated or unmaintained diagnosis. So some sort of psycho inaccuracies. But I think Evolutionists for Justice describe what's happening flawlessly. You know, she is a victim who has been trained to, you know, want to go on an adventure or exist in a fantasy, and that can drive a person mad. You know, and that's what's happened. Not understanding your purpose. Non-white people do not understand our purpose on planet Earth. It is not to be victims of racism. It is not to be peeing on a group of people who have historically terrorized us and destroyed us by the millions. It was brought up that they were eating us during chattel slavery, but Leopold was chopping off hands during World War II. I suspect Neely Fuller Jr. was alive. Neely Fuller Jr. was alive when King Leopold was chopping off Black children's hands, Black girls' hands over down there in the so-called Congo. So and they have a ritual of, oh yeah, that was a good old time during our phase of white supremacy. So they like to make candy in the shapes of hand, make food in shapes of hands. And yeah, I do think, sir, you are correct in your observing that the cooker or something is a nod to Marina Abramovich, the suspected racist who was probably got more fame for hanging out with Jay-Z than she did from her lame art. But yeah, she's a so-called spirit cooker. And yeah, here's a character who's so-called playing her. And this is them, poking fun at the history of white people terrorizing non-white people, particularly Black people or people classified as Black. And with the putting the sheets over the napkins over their heads, reminded me of a bunch of just clans people sitting at the table munching on Black people. Very, very, very symbolic if you understand that during those lynching, it was very common for a white person to walk up with some scissors and chop off a Black male's private parts and take them home in a jar, chop off a Black female's breast, take them home, pickle it. A lot of those items are still in those white people's homes, but we have to understand what we are dealing with if we want to solve this problem. This is really incorrect stuff that, another thing that was brought up, just how this episode, Van is seeing a number of white men. She's being passed around, and it's how the system works. And I really want people to just play that part with Evolution for Justice. Play that part twice. When you hear the broadcast, go back and listen to that part twice, because that was profoundly accurate. Every bit of utterance from there.
It was mentioned in the beginning of the episode about Delectable Negro. Oh, now I see it. Now that I'm watching this for the second time. Yeah, now I see it. And there were some Black hands to the side right before, that he was preparing to cook. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just took that as them deep frying it, like going right there. That's just dark meat right there. I guess another one, a note. It was when I believe it was Zasho or whatever her name was. Basically, she was saying that Van was carrying around the bread as if she's not being French without it, and I took French as being white. So.
Good catch.
Yeah, it was right when they was getting to meet the white guy in the hotel.
Also, it's her connection and that want for the white phallus that she's been implanted with, programmed with. And here's the Black hand right here hanging. And oh man, this episode, the way they just packed these characters together, just an amalgamation of grotesque white terrorism against, not white terrorism, just terrorism against non-white people who are doing it are classified as white. Alexander Skarsgård just got a lot of acclaim and praise for playing a Viking who very much, I suspect, is the epitome of white power and white masculinity. Because He's in this episode, and he's also in the film called The Northman, and that film shows ancient white culture. Them, yeah, I'm not, you know, I am not. I'm not a man. I'm a dog, and I am a two-legged dog. They refer to themselves in that film by multiple times. They do a ritual in that film where they get on their all fours and they eat from a kettle like device object while barking like dogs. The person who initiates them into this ritual is a white man wearing a black leather mask sort of thing. You know, so even in their ancient practices, wherever they got their power from was something black or something incorrect. You know, pretending to be a dog, two-legged dog, worshiping wolves, barking. For he did this ritual in that film as a child with his white father, of course. And in that film, we also see white culture displayed with them. Hey, we have no qualms raiding other white people, raping the white children, burning them alive, killing them for fun. It seems for fun and glory, literally. That's what the film was depicting: white people raiding each other for fun and glory. So this is why we see the white hands up there too. The white sacrificing is, that's white culture. Eating people is white culture. It's just that when they discovered black people, their appetite got refined, and the focus certainly became non-white people, the darkest kinds of non-white people. Tying it all together, this film just bombarded with racist propaganda. I doubt if you're understanding what they're seeing when they watch the show.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, but um the level of debauchery I was witnessing, like how these black females are being exploited for their bodily fluids by these wealthy white suspected white supremacists. Because I think the reason why the majority of them are there is to urinate on white males for some type of sexual pleasure that the white male will be receiving. And I was just, as I was watching it, I was like, dang, not a single character is gonna express how sick this is and how this is not what anyone should want. You should never want someone's digested foods or liquids that have been, bubbling in their intestines and in their colon or whatever. You don't want that stuff to come on anywhere near you. You want that stuff to be, flushed down, and not anywhere near your face, your body, or anything. So a lot of sickness in this episode, a lot of violence. I was very, very disturbed by a lot of stuff I was watching in this episode. For me, primarily, it was the confusion of V and seeing how many white males had access to her mouth, her body. It's very, very tragic. And I didn't think of it until B mentioned it, but the whole stuff about them being mixed, I could see that they're in an internal struggle with their their imaginary white side, because they don't have an imaginary white side. They're non-white and therefore will be mistreated, 24/7, forever, until the system of racism, white supremacy is dismantled, removed, replaced, however you want to, use whatever words you want to use. Until that happens, um, that's her suffering or whatever she was going through in Paris is gonna, continue to happen for her, for myself, and everyone in this chat who is classified as non-white.
Besides the confusion, besides the mistreatment that the black females are going through this episode, you know who I felt for? I was feeling for Lottie, Van's daughter, in the program, in the show. And I was thinking, dang, like, wow, throwaway kids. throwaway kids. Like how she just left her with her mom and like you're living this fantasy. And it took for Candace to point out, like, hey, what about Lottie? Like, what are you doing? I mean, even Ern tried to, ask her about Lottie, and she's just like, whatever. But when Candace, was able to bring it to her, like she couldn't dodge from it, she couldn't let's push it away. And then soon after that, she had this breakdown. Um, yeah, throwaway kids, just sad. Oh, and did y'all notice? Like now, I'm getting the connection between the title Tarrare and how the beginning when she was at the meat market and Candace bumped into her or saw her, the meat has spelled out Atlanta. They had the little signs that spelled out Atlanta in it. This episode is basically about cooking hands and trying to get this package, aka the hands, to this restaurant to feed the people. So now I'm getting a connection between the title and meat. Anybody want to read off what the title means?
Tarrare, it references an 18th century man that literally ate everything. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to read specifically the highlighted part because he did a lot of traveling, ate his parents at a house and home, kind of. One day, the doctors were horrified to discover a 14-month-old baby had gone missing from the hospital. They could only assume that Tarrare had eaten the baby. So it's okay for him to drink blood or eat dead bodies, but they draw the line at eating the baby. So when she's in the area where the Black people are, their alarm call for her, and notice they were throwing things at her, was to call her this. So they must know about the hands, or did she get involved with a baby being consumed? I don't know, but that's I think where the tie-in with that alarm. It seems like in this episode, these Black people are not confused in that particular area anyway, when it comes to her.
Yeah, and this allegedly occurred sometime back in the 17th century, and he wasn't prosecuted for allegedly eating a baby. He was a white guy, so-called French code for white guy, ate a baby allegedly, and that insatiable appetite, very Yoruga. If you've studied the Yoruga, you understand that the Yoruga is this needs to be this ever expansive, expand infinitely, consume infinitely. An incomplete being can never be complete. Perhaps that why is just never satisfied.
05.
Uh-huh.
Just a quick question for the room. I have seen scenes from the movie Candyman because I know that got referenced in this episode. Did Candyman also eat people too, or no?
I have no, I don't think from my recollection of the recent iteration or the
Right.
older one, I don't think so. But Candyman definitely is the delectable Negro title, black male. If he's gonna be a serial killer, he's definitely gonna be a sweet one.
Right.
So
Okay.
tasty one. Yeah. So,
Thank you for that.
that could be the correlation, delectable Negro. Yeah, but why was my bad. Why was Van's character called Tarrare? Could be a refined way to call a black person a savage. Because must remember, how the system works, and they will project what they're doing upon us. They have long classified us as cannibals. Black people don't go to all the propaganda displaying us to be like savages eating one another and eating them when they came to our shores, which couldn't be farther from the case. It was white people have the longest track record of eating anybody, on planet Earth. So why are they so I think it's a refined way to call a black person accountable, while hiding the fact that hey, white people have a tradition of eating black people. They glorify their history of eating black people and these just elaborate rituals they call, dinner parties, cooking parties, spirit cooking, whatever you want to call it. They're glorifying the only religion that matters on planet Earth. Sometimes called Christianity, sometimes called Catholicism, sometimes called Judaism, but it's really the religion of white supremacy. It's really the religion of white supremacy we're seeing every day, every day. Evolutionist for Justice, is that an older hand? I'm gonna go ahead, Mr. Monsoon.
Oh, just my last note. When they were going to the white guy's hotel room, right when they were leaving, he asked Band, was she gonna drink the Negroni? And I looked that up. It's a pretty much it's like some type of dark liquor, but it's just like a like one of those margarita type. I don't know. I'm not a drinker, so
Yeah, I caught that.
it's like it's like a cocktail.
Mm,
Yeah. So
cocktail, of course it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
This, just to so there's no confusion. Sex with white people is aggression. Why did this character masturbate after he got spit on? Because they classify spitting on someone as assault, aggression. Sex. White people, sex in general is aggression with white people. They don't use it the same way we use it. They have historically used sex to, hey, when white people were invading non-white people, they knew that, hey, we're gonna go take over and we're gonna go rape the males. After rape the males, then we'll start raping the females because they understand what rape does to a person minds, especially witnessing that happen over and over to the men, people who were once men ages ago when white people began to wage this war against us. So this character, and again, this is the Northmen. So this is their ancient white tradition. Because in that film, the Northmen, what do? They will go pillage, plunder a place, and then afterwards have sex with the captives all night, and the next day do it all over again to a new group of victims. So this is what they've been doing for a very long time. So this is why they're so good at it, and they have no qualms about doing it. So it's just wow. Do we get it yet? I hope you are learning to get it. Yeah, sex is aggression with them. I caught the Negroni bit. And if you're really understanding the demented behavior that we are practicing as non-white people, this episode may hit you a little differently, especially if you're a victim of this sort of incorrect activities that, hey, I need money, I gotta fly. He said he's gonna fly me out to Dubai. He said he's gonna fly me out to Istanbul. And I've heard a number of not have I heard, I have tragically, terroristically, see a number of Black females not peeing on people, but being sexually humiliated under the guise of flying, being a Insta model or whatever the hell. So this is what that's also echoing, how sex work, so-called sex work, gutter work, experimental sex work has been normalized. It's cultures, sex positive culture to fly somewhere for sex, to get paid for sex. So we have that happening constantly.
And think about too what type of person Candace probably is online, the type of aesthetic that she portrays. Like these are this type of women who have Instagrams, or sorry, Black females who have Instagrams where they show themselves living lavishly, etc. And they don't talk about how they're actually escorts and how they make money from doing this type of degrading stuff. But other Black females aspire to be like them because it looks like they're like, she is the one who's the most well dressed or the most put together looking, but she's existing in the most degrading way.
Yeah. Indeed. And yeah, definitely echoing to exactly what was shared by Miss Ash, that yeah, there's a number of group chats going around with various images of Black females being raped. They're calling it sex, they're calling it sex work, but it is not those things. Even on Reddit, it's so easy to just find what's going on, what's happening to Black males and Black females, And yeah, hey, and what does Atlanta do? We're gonna mock it. We're gonna make it fun, make it silly, make things that should be very serious, things that should be very, very serious. We're gonna make it fun and silly.
Also, like, this episode makes, I don't know what Van is ultimately like diagnosed with, but as someone who's been around people who have a lot of mental issues like that, maybe bipolar, etc., it's very, very traumatizing for the people around. And it almost like glamorizes it. Obviously, at the end, she comes back to whatever reality she was in, but I just feel like it doesn't even really show, like, I would have loved to see her actual attempted parents and the child that they left behind, because they don't really go through the type of damage that these type of mental issues really cause in the people who have to, support and help their attempted family members with it.
Indeed. And then the way that we are trained, we see it, and the way that she was talking, she's like, so I thought about eliminating myself, but not just eliminating myself, driving on the other side of a highway, putting other people in harm. Highly, highly selfish. If you're going to eliminate yourself, do it, just take yourself out. Some people may be trying to be constructive on this. Probably correctly stated God-forsaken planet, but just white people have done a number on us. Just watch the show, Atlanta, to see what's been done to Black people. See, thousands and thousands of years of just being kicked around, niggered up, niggerized. This is the result. We think we have a culture when I don't think we do. I don't think we do. We do a lot of things. None of it I don't think is valuable of being called anything I would associate myself with. And it's just, this is an indication of where racist men and racist women are taking us. This gutter sex thing is only going to expand. This show is very popular. Many people who are not familiar with the concept of being pissed on are now familiar with the concept of being pissed on. And due to their confusion, they're probably up for it. Or due to their confusion, they're probably up to do it, to help a white person to practice racism by letting them piss on them. Highly, highly, highly incorrect. What this does to the mind can't be constructive, can't help solve problems. I could be in error.
There was another thing about the historical figure Tarrare. I think that's worthy of note. Hold on, let me open this. Or if you can have that image up on the screen. Well, no, it's not going to be on there. At the end of this person's life, because he ate inanimate objects and lots of meat. and we're seeing a bunch of hands. I don't know if they're real hands. I don't know where Emilio got these hands, but he ate a lot of meat. And when they tried to do an autopsy when he finally died, the doctors couldn't stand in the room because his organs were putrefied. So you can keep consuming all of these objects and these people, but what is it doing to you? So like what Mr. Fuller says, the seeds of destruction of white supremacy are within the system itself. So all of this consumption is going to have a negative effect. You can either stop it now or you can wait till it destroys you.
Was there any discussion on the final scene after the credits and how that tied back to the reparations episode? Did you guys already discuss that?
I don't think so.
Did
Somebody
it-
mentioned that it was Earn, they have the same name, or somebody mentioned it, but I don't think.
Yeah, because I remember in the reparations episode,
Mhm.
the person who killed themselves by the pool, their name was Earn, right?
Right.
And so that's
And-
the person, right? He got his stuff.
Yes. So Earn's luggage is still missing. And I do remember that the other Ernest, said that he lost his luggage in the reparations episode.
Oh, I see. I'm wondering what is the purpose or idea of putting that at the end, like the last thing that people see when they watch this.
Well, this is the last episode of the season, I think. And the first episode, we see the other Ernest's character in the beginning at the first episode. And then we see him in the reparations episode. And it's like he and Earn are kind of connect, like Earn is dreaming about him in some sort of way. So I guess that's what they're trying to tie in through the series. But what is the decoded meaning of all of this?
I thought the same because I didn't even see this last part from the copy that I had. Like, so that was like a whole shock when I was watching it live. So yeah, I have no clue what this was about whatsoever. I'm mute.
Yeah, I suspect I suspect Donald Glover, the people behind the camera. I just wanting it to have some sort of continuity, some sort of cinematic continuity. So they want to tie everything sort of back together. That's why I interpret the scene. You know, and again, this whole season is supposed to be about the white curse, what it means, just the white curse to use their lame terminology. But yeah, I see this, interpret this scene as, hey, the people responsible for all this tackiness, all this incorrect behavior on planet Earth is this lot right here. Racist man, racist woman, racist child. These are the people to blame for all of your problems. You know, you laid on ramp, racist man, racist child, racist woman. You got baby mama, baby father, baby daddy drama. Racist man, racist woman's fault. You know, you can't control your offspring, getting bad grades in school. Racist man, racist woman's fault. You know, car problems, racist man, racist woman's fault. So yes, we must, attempt to solve these problems, but the people who should be solving them and solving them 24/7 are the people who cause the problem, but they don't have any interest in solving the race problem, it seems. So that's what we have to do, obviously. So racist man, racist woman, racist child, every incorrect, tacky interaction we've seen between a Black person, the people who are to blame, they look like these people. They're hiding in plain sight. So that's what I take from this scene. Yeah, and I thought it was very interesting that Zosha and Shanice are playing. It seems like they're playing themselves. So just playing confused victims of racism. Very it's very in your face that this spectacular racist propaganda right here. And I don't have any more notes, so we could definitely not spend any more time on this disgusting episode, disgusting filth that we had to endure. Only one more season left of this series, allegedly. Maybe won't even happen because I don't think the showrunners actually care about this show. It seems like they just throw ideas together. It doesn't really seem to have any true substance here. It's just a bunch of people who think they understand some sort of idea of Black culture, and they are just having a bit of fun mocking Black people. I don't think they're invested in the show, so I don't think they. That's why people force them to. Hey, that show made a lot of money. You niggas should you niggas should really get back to making more. Unless that happens, I would not be surprised if this is the final season of this nonsense. Because the showrunners, most of them are not even one of the main guys, one of the main victims involved with the show is being raped repeatedly by a white woman. So this is not a good show. And I would hope those who find this message, learn a bit about what they're taking into their brain computers. Alrighty, thanks everyone for tuning in. It is 5/20/2022. Let me do two things. I will read from Nyan Say Sam, a calendar of revolutionary daily thoughts by Mr. Baruti, and then I would do our outro. Alrighty, so this is from May 20th. Perhaps to be sane in this society is the best evidence of insanity. Addison Gale Jr. A major problem making the study of our heritage so difficult, yet necessary, is this widespread misinterpretation of the history and priorities of the people who have contained and molded us over the last 500 years or so in this Western cultural wasteland. Any credible student of African people will look at the oppressor rather than the oppressed for the causes of the conditions of the oppressed. With that in mind, consider this. If European culture is insanity, then at the fundamental level that humans define and perceive reality, we as Africans and people of color have a very serious problem. If a cultural minority becomes the power majority and this minority through military, media, and religious might force the majority cultures to adopt its culture as their own, then insanity becomes the norm and is redefined as sanity. Accepting another's reality as your reality makes their reality yours. The global majority is right, which makes Europeans wrong. How dare they stand in judgment of anyone? Unfortunately, as is the case with European cultural imperialism, once the insane can convince the sane that insanity is sanity, then the sane majority becomes insane and insanity becomes universal and is seen as sanity. Those individuals or groups who dare to hold on to their original sanity become universally depicted as the truly insane, regressively backwards, and that's in parentheses. And those who are carriers of their original insanity become universally depicted as the truly sane, also in parentheses, progressively modern. Affirm, I measure my sanity against that which is African. And
You are alive.